think it does have the potential to do what Martin McCauley did to Jared Anderson. Maybe it's too early, or maybe he passes with flying colours, and that's why you got to watch it and find out. But one thing I will say about Moses is he's a very good fighter, good little boxer, good puncher, and a lovely...
Tyson Fury, the self-proclaimed Gypsy King, couldn't hide his reaction when footage of Moses Itauma's latest training session hit the internet. It wasn't just impressive, it was downright terrifying. The speed, the precision, the violent intensity. Moses wasn't just training for Dillian Whyte. He looked like he was preparing to take over the entire heavyweight division. The atmosphere in the boxing world shifted the moment that footage dropped. Adam Smith, a usually composed and measured voice in the sport,
very, very good Moses Itauma. So some people might say he'll get rid of Dillian Whyte like he has the others. Maybe not. Maybe Dillian's too much for him at this stage, which is why it's
seemed genuinely unsettled. He tried to keep it diplomatic on air, but anyone paying attention could hear it. The pauses, the hesitations, the subtle change in tone. Smith was rattled. He knows what he saw, and what he saw wasn't just promising talent.
But he's the next in line. I think he's the future of the heavyweight division. I think he's an outstanding talent. I think he's got a good team around him, Ben Davison and Lee Wiley. Wiley is the brains that study everything, and they use what we call video analysis now in boxing. They're the one team that
was a legitimate threat to every top heavyweight. And then came Tony Bellew. Not one to mince words. Bellew didn't sound like a commentator hyping up the next contender. He sounded like a man issuing a public warning. The concern in his voice was impossible to miss. This wasn't the typical pre-fight hype. Bellew made it clear, this fight against Dillian Whyte,
24 years old, who's got all his faculties right, getting trained by one of the best trainers in the United Kingdom. And then, mate, it's like, you got more chance of winning the lottery than you beating that Moses Itauma, let's be honest.
Isn't just a matchup, it's a potential massacre. Moses isn't a boxer looking for rounds. He's a wrecking ball hunting names. Derek Chisora, a man who's seen it all, didn't even pretend to hide his doubts. His reaction? Laughter. Not the he's got a shot. Kinda laugh, but the you've got a better chance winning the lottery kinda laugh. Chisora wasn't offering analysis. He was waving the white flag on Whitey's behalf. And coming from
Fabio Wardley, now Dillian had a slightly more experienced amateur career, but not much. He's learned as a professional, really, and funnily enough, he mentored Fabio Wardley. So they're two characters. Yeah, they come from different backgrounds and different stories, and they fight in a different way. But they take on anyone, and they give it a crack. And I think
from one of the toughest, most fearless veterans in the game. That says a lot. What's scaring these veterans and pundits? It's not just the physical tools, it's the way Moses uses them. Adam Smith nailed it when he broke it down further. Moses isn't just fast, he's methodical, he's calculated, he's surgical. If you commit too early, he counters with brutal precision. If you stay too cautious, he walks you down and overwhelms you. He's a walking chest trap in boxing gloves. There's no right answer, no safe zone. That camp has turned Moses from prospect to predator. And as for Dillian Whyte, he's the prey. Andrew McCart didn't sugarcoat it either. He framed the bout as less of a challenge for Whyte. And
I mean, I like the fight. The reason being is because Moses Itauma, we've been saying now, is that guy. He needs that test. He needs that step up. And I think Dillian Whyte is that guy. Dillian Whyte's probably found it hard now to get that big fight. He's probably said, I'll fight Moses Itauma if you give me X amount of money. And that's probably why this
more of a cash out. According to McCart, this isn't about climbing back up the rankings. This is a calculated gamble to cash one last check before the lights go out. A name like Whyte brings value, but Moses is the storm rolling in, and deep down, everyone knows it. This isn't a comeback story. It's the potential closing chapter for Whyte. When fighters start asking for massive purses just to show up, it's usually not confidence talking. It's survival instinct. Whitey, once a fearless brawler, now sounds like a man trying to convince himself more than anyone else. His press interviews reek of overthinking, talking about game plans, timing, angles, but none of it lands with conviction. Meanwhile, Moses is out there tearing through pads like they owe him.
We're just looking at fights to kind of get me into that later round, because I feel like with Usyk, I feel like I've got a better skill set than him, but I feel like towards the later rounds, he'll just outdo me, because I've never been in that sort of fight.
Money, even more disturbing. Moses himself says he's not satisfied, not because he hasn't knocked people out, but because he's doing it too quickly. He's not getting rounds in. Think about that. While most fighters dream of early finishes, Moses is bored of them. He wants endurance. He wants rounds. He wants war. That alone tells you this isn't your average rising star. He's chasing greatness, not just highlights. And then there's the Usyk comparison. To say you've got a better skill set than the pound-for-pound king takes serious guts or delusion. But from Moses, it doesn't sound crazy. It sounds frighteningly plausible. He knows Usyk has mastered the deep waters of boxing. That's why Moses isn't just knocking people out. He's training to swim those waters.
Fabulous young talent. He's got speed, he's got power, he's tough, he's game. He ticks all the boxes so far. So let's see. Again, he's young. You know, he's not really been tested because what he's doing to these opponents. So let's see. It's early days, but big future for him. If he continues on the road he's doing it.
Himself. He wants to prove he belongs not just in the conversation, but on the throne. Peter Fury, a seasoned trainer who's guided champions to the pinnacle, looked visibly stunned watching Moses in action. Ticks all the boxes, he said, and that's not praise thrown around lightly. That's code for this kid is terrifyingly complete. The only reason Peter adds a hasn't really been tested yet caveat is because nobody has lasted long enough to offer that test. And that's not a knock. That's dominance. The whispers in boxing gyms, on commentary panels, and behind the scenes are all pointing to one thing. This isn't just early hype. This is the early stages of a takeover. Moses checks every box: power, speed, toughness, ring IQ, composure. He's not here to...
Gone the distance once, but I'm talking about with somebody who doesn't fiddle around, somebody who actually would like to get him in the latter rounds and is capable of knocking people over. You know, he's a puncher. You've seen him do it, and he's done it.
Participate. He's here to replace. All he needs now is a name, a scalp that forces the world to take notice. Dillian Whyte is that name. And if things go the way many expect, Whyte might find himself not just defeated, but violently erased from the conversation. Even Tyson Fury, a man never short of confidence, seems to be watching closely, not mocking, not challenging, just watching. Watch this space, Fury said. That's not a dismissal, that's recognition. From the top of the mountain, Fury can see the next climber, and Frank Warren, a promoter who's handled legends. When Frank Warren praises a puncher, it's not fluff. He's seen the best of the best. And the way he talks about Moses sounds like he's witnessing the return of old-school heavyweight danger. Moses isn't just
wanting to go there, because Moses Itauma is fascinating. I spoke to Francis Warren ringside on Saturday night. You had a microphone as well. Were you allowed to put the pressure on them to speak? Because I just did.
He's folding opponents like lawn chairs. Fast, brutal, efficient. Fans and critics keep asking when we'll see Moses in deep waters. But here's the truth. Nobody's been able to drag him there. Why? Because he lands clean and puts the lights out. You don't need to prove you can swim when you're sinking every ship before it sets sail. Frank Warren's calm demeanor hides the deeper reality. Moses isn't just on his way to the top. He's already sending shockwaves through...
Punches and I have a lot more punches than that. So, you know, I'm not just focusing on one punch. I'm focusing more on strategy and getting to the strategic position to learn what we're learning. It's softball, so you know, you can't just walk up to them and learn left hook and then the same like you do on other people. So you have to set it up and timing and stuff. So yeah, I've just been working more on that.
Through the division, now Tay, or Whitey as many are calling him, becomes the next man in line. And we've all seen how these stories end. It's rarely pretty for the veteran. Gareth A. Davies, the ever-observant...
Great fight.
you know. But it'll be fascinating to see how Moses goes against Dillian. I don't think they put him in against Dillian Whyte if they think there's real jeopardy for them. I think they might get a few rounds and get asked a few more questions than possibly they've been asked by Marius Wack and Dempsey McKean. But I don't think much. They think much.
Journalist has been almost giddy in his coverage of Moses, but listen closely beneath the playful delivery. He's obsessed, and that obsession mirrors the mood of the entire boxing world. Everyone wants to know what's next. Promoters are being
The Daily Mail's reported tonight that Boxer and Sky Sports are not renewing their deal with Boxer. Is this the last time we're going to see Johnny Nelson for some time?
prodded. Managers are whispering. Fans are demanding. Moses has become the conversation. It's not just the knockouts. It's the mystique. The feeling that something special is unfolding. A storm that can't be ignored. Fighters like Dillian Whyte don't take these fights for fun. They take them because they're being positioned as stepping stones. Because promoters know a fading name versus an unstoppable prodigy makes the perfect stage for a coming-out party. Listen to Whitey speak, and the cracks begin to show. The confident swagger is gone, replaced with over-explanations. Talk of angles, movement, strategy. It doesn't sound like a fighter preparing to dominate. It sounds like a man hoping to survive. And this isn't the same Dillian Whyte who brawled with Joshua or waged war with Chisora. This is a veteran nearing the edge. Simon Jordan, known for cutting through boxing bluster, said it best. This isn't a
turn next, and he claimed that the best case scenario for the world would be Tyson's victory via KO. Adding to that, Rogan mentioned that the best case scenario would be Jake Paul, quickly realizing he is facing Mike Tyson, especially in the first round or two. Needless to say, this emotion was shared by the MMA veterans as well.
Best case scenario for the world is that he knocks Jake Paul out.
Yeah, best case scenario is
it's an exposure. Whitey's not here for legacy. He's here for a payday. The writing's on the wall, and when even Joe Rogan chimes in, you know it's real. Rogan, a man with one foot in MMA and the other in boxing, doesn't waste words on fringe hype. He called Moses a guaranteed breakout moment. No technique breakdown, no strategic forecast, just raw reaction. That's the kind of impact Moses is having, crossing over into the general fight culture. Finally, Johnny Nelson stepped in. Always the diplomat, Nelson tried to be fair, gave Whitey some credit, but even he couldn't hide the truth. He said it plainly. Whitey might be the gatekeeper now. Let that sink in. A man who once fought for world titles, now possibly reduced to a litmus test for the new blood. That he'll fight anyone label. It's no longer a badge of honor. It's a warning, because the man he's stepping in with doesn't care about legacy or status. Moses is a cold-blooded finisher, and he's not coming to win on points. He's coming to make a statement. Nelson knows it. Everyone does. When the old guard steps in with the new breed, there's only one question: how long can they last? Moses isn't just here to make a name. He's here to replace them all. And if Dillian Whyte is now the gate, Moses is about to blow it clean off the hinges. This isn't just another heavyweight bout. This is a generational collision, one fighter holding on to the past and another tearing his way into the future. The war is coming, and it's going to be violent.